I'm happy to introduce our first resource person, Dr. Paromita Mitra Bhaumik, who is a consultant psychologist, assistant professor, and head of the Department of Clinical Psychology at the George Group of Colleges in Kolkata. With 25 years of experience in mental health, education, and organizational training, she specializes in stress management, work life integration, emotional well being, and capacity building programs for corporate offices and academic institutions. She is well known for her teachers continuous professional development CPD and parenting modules. Paramita has served as a trainer, counselor, mentor, and consultant for more than 3 decades. Her approach integrates evidence-based therapeutic frameworks with practical training methodologies, creating measurable positive outcomes in both academic and corporate settings. We are privileged and happy to have Dr. Paramita here with us, who will continue with her session now.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Jose, for introducing me. Thank you, Divya, for initiating this program. So mental health is something which I've been working for last 30 years. And it is a great pleasure to be here with Don Bosco Tech today to talk a little bit about my experiences as well as some researches on mental health. Now, the first thing is we very often confuse mental health as, something that happens to some people who are not okay. But mental health is an integral part of any health. They're the two sides of the same coin. You can have physical health going up and down in life. Mental health similarly goes up and down in life. But we need more sunshine, more open conversations about mental health. And another important thing about mental health is that it also needs care, which is called mental hygiene. Mental hygiene is like physical hygiene, like you brush your teeth every day, like you have your bath every day. There are certain things that we have to do every day as a habit or as a protocol or as a procedure to keep our mind healthy. So what is mental health and what is well-being? Well-being as such is basically an umbrella term under which we have mental health, we have physical health, we have spiritual health, our connection with a higher power, as well as our relationships. So all together is the well-being. If there is a problem in any one of the aspects, we find that our mental health also goes down. I would like to start, next slide, please, with a definition which was given by World Health Organization. And this is a very comprehensive definition. It clearly tells us that mental health is not about absence of a mental disorder, which actually means that if I do not have depression, or if I do not have anxiety, or if I do not have OCD or any other symptoms of a mental disorder, I enjoy mental health. It does not come automatically from it. So to enjoy a good mental health, apart from not having the disorders, there are 4 aspects which has to be met. Out of that, the first one is to realize one's potentials. We're all born with a lot of abilities, talent, strength to achieve goals. So anybody who's having a healthy mind would actually have goals in their lives that are to maximize their talents and abilities. Friends, as you know, according to Maslow, we gravitate towards things we do our best. I mean, you might be put into one particular subject in school. You might be having good marks in all the subjects, but ultimately in life, you find your place and you gravitate towards something you like doing, or maybe that gives a meaning. Next is they are also able to cope with life stressors. Life is not easy. It is difficult, definitely, but failures are lessons. But to make a failure your lesson, you need to reflect on them and not react to the failures. But most of us, what happens? whenever we find that we are not able to deal with our failure, we become depressed, we become sad. So instead of that, if we can reflect or maybe write down what exactly is the problem, what for what we happen, we can turn it into a life lesson. So daily stressors are something you need to cope with. Work productively, being able to carry out our daily task, when we are not having a good mental health, when we go through a lot of stresses, when we have depression, the first thing that we are unable to do is to carry out our daily tasks. Like, we don't feel like getting up from the bed, we are late at work, we are late for our classes, we do not take exams, we come up with a lot of excuses. So somebody who is doing that very frequently needs to be spoken to, and we would invariably find that their personal life might be having some problems. And the last but not the least, we are human beings. We are people who live in community, and we have come down from which animal? Not tigers, monkeys. So they live in community. So in that case, what we do for the community is also very important. So maybe the ultimate goal of a healthy mind is what you leave behind for your community. Next slide, please. Yeah. So these concepts I thought would be important for us to clear, because very often we confuse them. So mental health is also involves a physical health, psychological health, social well-being that influences a person, how he behaves, how he copes with stress, and most importantly, in their decisions and their relationships. Stress, on the other hand, is basically a bodily responses to demands of the situations. Perceived stress we all undergo, but perceived stress, maybe you've got an exam tomorrow and you are not prepared. So you are going to perceive whether you're able to prepare tonight and take the exam tomorrow or not. So you are actually judging whether you are able to kind of take the exam. So if you think that yes, you'll be able to manage an overnight study, then your stress is going to be less. So that's your perceived stress is less. But if you think it is not possible to study overnight and take the exam tomorrow morning, then the perceived stress is high. So you undergo a stress response. The body reacts to the stress. There is you're unable to sleep. There might be a tachycardia where the heartbeat becomes faster. There also might be headache. There might be vomiting tendencies, all kinds of stresses add, and always the body tries to mitigate the stress by the moment the stress passes away, we try to come down to our parasympathetic system, because it's sympathetic system which makes the life so stressful. Mental disorders actually happen when we are stressed for a very, very long time. Like we are not able to handle the stresses of our life. Maybe somebody's terminally ill, or we are trying for a job, we are not getting it, we are under financial stress. Relationships give us a lot of stress. So all these times when we are not able to handle, we are not able to find a solution, that is when we find that mental disorders can take place. So it's a long-standing stress response. But there are mental disorders which also happen due to inherited genetic basis. So if there is a bipolarity in the house at home, if there is anxiety at home, then the likelihood would be even a little stress can give rise to those kind of disorders. So it could be that we are not able to handle stress, or it could be that we are genetically predisposed to probably have developed diseases like any other diseases that we are genetically predisposed to. Next slide, sir. Now, okay, so we have understood that we have to take care of our mental health. But it is not like you're having fever, you're having vomiting tendencies that, go to a doctor, or maybe you do something for your health, you eat healthy, you go for a walk. How do you know that, it's time that we took care of our mental health? How do you know that we are not keeping well? This is $1 million question. And these days, at schools, we are introducing mental hygiene because we've lost a lot of children to suicide, etc., due to depression. So we are also going to take care of our mental health by knowing the signs and symptoms. Okay, so let's see some of the symptoms. So maybe, sad feelings, anxiety, losing interest, particularly loss of interest in activities that were once enjoyable. This is a very, very important, feeling of sad could be transient. It could be that something had happened and we are feeling sad, and later things might be fine. But a loss of interest on things that we had once enjoyed, and it's called anhedonia, where we don't find anything enjoyable. Persistent fatigue, low energy, difficulty in concentration, their difficulty in sleep pattern and appetite. Usually when you have difficulty in falling asleep, it is due to anxiety. And you have early morning awakening, that is, you get up very early morning and are not able to get back to sleep, that could be depression. So sleep patterns are also taken into account when during the diagnosis. Increased use of substance abuse like alcohol, gambling, nicotine, or into unhealthy habits like gambling and other coping mechanism, and mood swings. Mood swings are also there where we are not able to control our emotion, and also self-harm where, many times we find that we are cutting ourselves or attempting suicide, or maybe overeating could also be self-harm, knowing that we are not supposed to eat like that or do certain things which are not good for our health could also be self-harming. How do we support? What do we do? We talked about mental hygiene. So how do we support our mental health? That's $1 million question. So now we know what is mental health. We know what is mental hygiene, that we have to take care of it every day. We know we might be having some symptoms. And now we come to the habits that we have to have and take care so that, we keep a good mental health. First is the social support, which is connectedness with others. There was this research which actually showed that happiness, actually, at the end of life, the happiness is only about relationships. It's not about your riches. It's not about your looks. It's not about where you have traveled. But your happiness at the end of the life, when there was a longitudinal study which was done, is basically all depends on the relationships you have had all your life. So connectedness with others is extremely important. Keep connected to whatever level you can with friends, families, etc. Give them time no matter how busy you are. Gratitude journaling is also very important. Those who are very depressed, we ask them to write 2-3 things you're grateful for. Read them first thing in the morning. There was this research by Robert Emmons, which actually had 3 groups. One group was asked to write down what was good in their life. The second group was asked to write down things which went wrong in their lives in the last 1 month, and the third group, both. So after 1 month, depression inventory was given to 3 groups, and as you can guess, the group which wrote down what was right in their lives had least amount of depression. So reflecting on what is right in your life, which is gratitude journaling, does decrease stress and keep you mentally healthy. Effective coping skills could be problem-focused, emotion-focused, or avoidance style. Whenever there is a problem, if you're trying to solve it, that's a problem-focused coping, which is the best so far as research goes. Emotion-focused is when you try to detach yourself from it, because when you can't solve it, some of the problems you cannot solve by problem-focused coping because there are no solutions. So in those cases, you can do emotion-focused coping where you might go for catharsis, you might talk to your friends about it because you can't change the situation, or maybe just detach yourself from the situation. And avoidance coping is you don't want to look at it. And avoidance coping we only do in extreme cases when we are not able to do problem focus or emotional focus. Physical activity is extremely important because it lowers the cortisol hormone, which leads to, which is basically the stress hormone, and keeping your spine straight and being aware of your breathing. Some very simple breathing techniques where you breathe in with the count of 4. If you're not into breathing techniques, which I do, and it's very fast, when you take in, inhale with a count of 4 and then exhale at the count of 6. But always remember, when you exhale, it has to be longer, and exhale with your mouth open. So breathing is something which calms down your system. So practice breathing during stress, practice breathing techniques every day. And there are other breathing techniques like progressive muscular relaxations, box breathing, etc., which you would actually find on the net. But adopt any one of the breathing techniques to be with you. Adequate sleep is very important, 7 to 8 hours of sleep, because you might get physical illnesses also. If you are like people with diabetes, blood sugar level high, they're asked to sleep. Otherwise, next day, if you check your sugar, the sugar level goes up. We have mindfulness and relaxation. We already spoke about it. And always be in touch with healthcare professional, counselors, and mentors, those who want. We have Telemanas, which is a free counseling phone number. If you want, I can share it with you. If you want any kind of help, you can actually get in touch with them. It is completely free of cost. Just, take the phone and call them in case you need. We will all need support once in a while, and it's absolutely okay to dial the helpline numbers. So there are just 3 things I want to tell you. I think I have only 5 more minutes. That's what I'm allowed. So I'm just telling you, mental hygiene is something which you're going to do every day. Now, what it is, we also, apart from mental hygiene, we also know our stresses. We have to know our enemies. If you want to fight a battle, you have to know your enemies. Now, you have to be very honest with yourself regarding your stresses. Next slide, sir. What are the stresses? It could be academic pressure. We very often compare ourselves with others. Society also does it, and that is because we all have different lives and different question papers, so as to say. So comparing others do not really help. It erodes our self-esteem. We can have financial pressure. Sometimes we take loan and study, and we do not know whether we're going to go to a job after that. There is uncertainty about placement after training, balancing home responsibility with class hours. Sometimes if we are away from our own people in the relationship, we will show that, significant others, that also takes a toll on us. We might just appear that's fine, that I'm not in touch with my significant others and I'm working, but ultimately it takes a toll on our health. And sometimes we want to be strong, so we want to manage it all alone, and that leads to a lot of emotional isolation. Okay, so this is, if you have to take one slide from my talk, this is it. This is the most important slide according to me. I'm sure you liked other slides too, but this one is about thought, feelings, and behavior, which is the basis of CBT. What this says is that, thought influences our feelings, the feelings influences our behavior. What you do not actually, this you already know. Like, suppose a child did not pass an exam, or student didn't pass an exam. So the thoughts are, I'm no good. Feeling is, of course, bad. And behavior would be, I'm not meeting friends who have passed the exam. We all know this. There's nothing new in it. Then what is new here? What you do not probably know is, if you are able to change any one of the pillars, again, I'm saying, if you're able to change any one of the pillars, the other 2 automatically changes. So the example which I was giving you, the student who didn't pass, the thought was that, he's not good enough. Feeling is, of course, depression and a sad feeling, and he's actually sitting at home and not going out. And suddenly the friends come in. And then they say that, okay, fine, we'll see what happens next time. So let's go and have some ice cream. So they drag him out to have some ice cream. do you think the thoughts and feelings are going to change? The feeling is going to definitely change with the behavior. And when the feeling is going to change because the friends have come down, the thoughts are also going to change. So when we are not able to change our thoughts and feelings and we get into that rut of overthinking, we have to try and change the behavior. So this is the beginning of, you can write this down and you can check it out, the behavior activation program. When counseling doesn't help, when talking to others do not help, behavior, we have to make it a point to change our behavior. Like, we might be just sitting in one place or doing the same thing over and over again, or overworking, and we do something else. We go for a vacation, or we go for exercise, or we meet some friends. The thoughts and feelings also change. Okay, next slide, please. Another problem, this is the second one I'm telling. So whenever you're feeling anything, jealousy, sad, and angry, we need to name the feeling. This is what we are even teaching in school now. And we have to pause and reflect before we act, because there should be a gap between our thoughts and feelings and the action. I might be feeling bad, but if I say something bad at that time, I might feel bad later on. So that pause is very important. Naming the feeling, I feel insulted, but I take some time and say I feel insulted. I will be more careful about what I say later on. And then rather, impulsively, I blurt out something which might be harmful for the relationship, maybe a boss and an employee. So this is already, I said, pause and name what you're feeling. Say it aloud, I'm feeling anxious about tomorrow's test, and then share. Either you share with a family member or a friend or center in charge, or what I do is sometimes you might be feeling this in the middle of the night. So the easiest and the best way to keep mental health fine is to journal, write it down. The moment you write it down, you're giving words to your feelings. The moment you give words to your feelings, you don't have to share your journal. If you have a therapist, you can share it with her. Journal is not even for your significant other. It's completely for you. And you can just keep it in a place where you want to write down your feelings. And it is as good as sharing. So people write dear diary messages because of that. So write it down, it gets out of your system. So I think I'm in the last slide. So remember, mental health does not mean absence of a mental illness. I still might not have a diagnosable disorder and still have a poor mental health. So I might not be able to reach my potentials, my goals, or I might not be able to contribute to society, or I might not be able to do my daily work because I cannot deal with stress, and still not have a diagnosis. And mental health is essential for well-being. If you do not have mental health, no matter what you do, physical health is also going to suffer. And it is much influenced by the relationships we have and also our social interaction. We are social animals, so our social interactions need to be taken care of. So if there are any questions from the floor, I think I can take the liberty to answer them in next 2-3 minutes. Please feel free. Otherwise, I think your center in charge is going to talk to you too. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address all of you. So relationship management is an integral part of emotional intelligence, where emotional intelligence is the way we manage our emotion, the way we express our emotions, and also the way we understand other people's emotions. And unless we understand other people's emotion, we will not develop people's skills. So let us first understand where in the domain of emotional intelligence comes relationship management. Number one. Number two, it has been found in researchers that there was a time when schools and colleges thought that the most intelligent person would be having a great life, have all the successes. But later on, it was found that people with a high EI, that is emotional intelligence, the expressed one is EQ, contributes to 80% of the success in life, and only 20% of the success in life is due to IQ. So all this, patting the back of the first boy or the first girl went down the drains. And that is when the social and emotional learning came into being in all the schools and colleges, where we are supposed to understand how we get along with others, because a lot of our successes depends on that. So what is relationship management? It is about building and maintaining and strengthening a positive relationship with people, with organization to achieve mutual trust, collaboration, and long-term success. Trust and friendship is the basis of any relationship. Okay, so if there is no trust, there is actually no relationship. So, so trust is something that you will have to have with significant others. You will also have to have with your boss, with your colleagues, and also the collaboration. You have to be able to collaborate with family members and collaborate with at work, and also, deal with your own emotions. So that is relationship management. It is a very, very tough domain. It is one of the toughest things to manage your relationships in life. And if you really go to the stressors, you will always find one of the stressors in life is always at some point in time remains your relationships. So now, of course, Gen Z talks about complicated relationships. That's why many times you will find that relationship status is complicated. So I'm sure they have understood how complicated relationships are. So yeah, so I want to go back a little. I want to talk about emotional intelligence. As I was saying, our power to understand other people, our power to express ourselves and manage and regulate our own emotion. If I'm angry with the boss, I cannot just abuse the boss and get away. I lose the job. So I have to express in a way which is not going to lead me into consequences, negative consequences. Okay. And it is also important that it's the ability to manage and express one's own emotions, effectively recognize and respond appropriately to the other emotion, to others' emotions. Maybe you are sad and nobody notices it. So one colleague of yours may just notice it and say, is everything fine? So even if you're in a staff room, maybe, there are so many, some people might have just noticed and not even asked you. There would be one or two who would have this EI to actually ask you everything is fine or not. So one who talks about this, that is the person you connect, and probably you say that, this is what has happened with me, and you have a little bit of catharsis. So next day you observe that person also, and you become a support system to the person who has been having a high EI. Next is this term was actually coined in 1990 by Mayer and Solovey, but later on, there's a very famous book called Emotional Intelligence by Dr. Daniel Goleman, who had actually done a lot of studies, and that came out in 1995. Y'all can go through this book if you want to develop EQ, because I told you success, your success will depend on 80% on your EQ and 20% on your IQ. So you have to put an effort on your EQ. So when you talk about the pillars of emotional intelligence, we need to be self-aware first. What are our strengths? What are our challenges? In this webinar, there's just one shortcoming where I just can't talk to the other people. So maybe some other time we can have a conversation where we have to find the strength and challenges. We do not talk about weaknesses. We talk about challenges, because when we talk about weakness, we take it as something permanent. But when we talk about challenges, it is something we need to overcome. And then we have social awareness. Where am I? How am I supposed to conduct myself there? What am I supposed to do if somebody is feeling unwell, or somebody is maybe angry? We have relationship management and also management of ourselves. If we are angry, if we are jealous, if we are irritable, how do we control ourselves? So whatever we do in this domain, it will be showed in our language, in our behavior, and the patterns. It forms a pattern, and also in our performance. Leaders actually have a very high EI, because unless you have a high EI, you cannot work with other people. And if you cannot work with other people, you cannot be a leader, because a leader is a leader because of other people. Now, this is too fast because relationship is a vast topic, but I'll still talk about the strategies to manage relationships. Harvard study, yeah, next slide, please. I was talking about a Harvard study which actually says that relationships are the only factor which is responsible for our happiness and also our longevity. How long we are going to live is also going to be determined by our relationship. It's a Harvard study, you can check it out. And so it's not what we eat and how much we exercise, but ultimately it will come down to your relationships. So do take care of your relationship. Now, if you tell me which is the best relationship you had, or if the relationship is okay for you, as a counsel, a lot of people come like, ma'am, I'm dating this guy, I'm dating that guy, he's sending this text and that text and saying this and saying that. But the ultimate lines in any healthy relationship is that this relationship should make you feel good about yourself. Whether it's illegal or legal relationship doesn't really matter if it makes you feel good about yourself, and you're supposed to do the same. I mean, it might be a legal relationship where you're feeling, extremely bad. I mean, that's a toxic relationship. So it doesn't mean that I'm encouraging illegal relationship. I'm talking about relationship in general, so that you know if it makes you feel good about yourself, it's good enough. So that's a thumb rule. So if there's a relationship where you feel abused, if there is a relationship who's asking, your boyfriend is asking you to slim down or put on weight or cut your hair or go bald or whatever, there are so many requests that comes from so-called boyfriends and girlfriends. Please do not listen, run from that person. So the person has to accept you. The person has to accept you as you are, as you're improving every day. For yourself, not for him, not for her. And that is a relationship you need to be in for your self-improvement, and also, so that both of you can collaborate and help each other to grow. All relationships are not the same. So there are 3 levels of relationship we have in our lives. We all have 3 levels of relationship. The first is with the self. And if this relationship is not okay, this relationship is not healthy, then the other 2 suffer. Again, I'm saying there are 3 levels of relationship in all of our life. And if the first relationship is not okay, the others do suffer. And why is the first relationship not okay? Mostly because of our childhood, the treatment that we receive from our parents. I'm sorry, we cannot choose our parents. We can choose a job, we can choose colleagues, friends, but not parents. So we have to suffer or have parents as a blessing. So what happens here is how individual perceive themselves, the self-esteem, where I stand, what is good about myself, what are my challenges, the self-awareness, the personal values, the values that has been given to me, that has come down to me, schooling. All this matter in the relationship with the self. School has a very, very important role, because as a child, we do spend a lot of time in school with our mentors and teachers, and values are inculcated at that period of time. So the school that you go, the parents that you have, your childhood friends, and there are so many people. There is a saying that it takes a village to raise up a child. So everything is done through this. Relationship with significant others, there are people who are in your inner circle, and these are the people who have the maximum influence in your life. They're your parents, your partners, your best friends, your mentors, your own children, because they are the people who demand, and they are the people who make, they can do you a lot of good and a lot of bad too. And there has to be a lot of trust, the attachment, deeper communication. When things go wrong, this is a circle you turn to for the first at the outset. And then mutual respect. Always remember, respect is always greater than love. So, some person might say that, he loves you or she loves you and then doesn't respect you. That is not love. That is infatuation. So look for respect first and then love. So if there's no respect and trust, that is the basis of any kind of love. So that is actually not love. So mutual respect, support, and caregiving, because this is the circle from where you also expect care when you fall. So this is the expect where you lick your wounds, and these people are around you. A strong relationship with significant others contribute greatly to psychological being and resilience. What is resilience? I think there is going to be another session on resilience. So when we fall, when things do not go right, how fast we can recover from there is called the resilience. How fast you go back to from where you started and you got frustrated. So that resilience is also determined by the people who are around you when you have not been able to be successful. People who actually counsel you, people who talk to you and show you other ways, not the only way that you're seeing, is called resilience. And that is depends on who your significant others are. Social relationships are extremely important. I've always been saying you need not be intimate with these people, but they also play a very, very important role there. Your society friends, your colleagues, your neighbors, sometimes classmates, community members, they're characterized by social support. But so it might be that, I am talking to my best friend and my neighbor is suddenly taken ill. So it is my duty to run to the neighbor rather than talk to my best friend at that point in time, because that is where my social responsibility comes from. So it's not an intimate relationship, but that is a social responsibility, which is a higher order responsibility, which is characterized by social support, a sense of belonging to a community, cooperation, networking, social participation, religious participations, and community engagement. So remember the three levels, and you can actually find out who stands where. So first thing you have to remember in the strategy is, so now we know the three kinds of people that we have in our lives. We have the social community, we have the significant others, and we have our own self. There's a last question here which is going to be a little tricky question. No, next slide, please. So this is the three levels. Now to strategy, the first thing you need to remember is that perspective taking is very important. See, there are two people standing, somebody seeing it 9 and somebody seeing it 6. Just because you were right does not mean I'm wrong. So, people are seeing it from their point of view. You might be a significant other, you might be in the community with me, but at the same time, what you say may not be wrong, but what I say may not be wrong too. So we come to a conclusion that both can be right, and we can actually cooperate and come to and stand at the middle ground. Because otherwise, if you're going to trust your opinion on other people, then there is going to be fight and conflict. So and we really do not know what the other people's problems are. So we have to give the benefit of doubt. Next, so perspective taking is something you have to understand. This is something I always show in, it's a sandwich technique of positive criticism. Many a time, especially to our own people and significant others, and also officially, what we do is, if we do not like some work, suppose I did not like your work, the earlier slide, please. Yeah. So we straight away say, look, your work was not up to the mark. Okay, so that is straight away told. And many people think that, telling straight is actually heads, but it doesn't. Okay, it makes the other person defensive. So in that case, whenever you want to a person to change his or her behavior, always start with a compliment. See the person in whole. Do not always, see what you need to be to change in her or him. So start with a compliment, which is a top bread. Then you have the inside of the bread, which is the filling. So there you put in your suggestion. Okay, and at the end you always in the middle part you say your concern and let the person go with a suggestion. Let the person go with a suggestion. So if you did not like a certain say essay writing, somebody wrote an essay and you didn't like it, so the person might have written other essays, or maybe the person is good in communication, so praise that first. Then you say that this essay has this problem, maybe a little bit more has been taken from AI or something, and then you say to deal with that you can possibly use these tools so that the AI is not shown. So the moment you give compliments, the person will accept it, less defensive. So whenever you want somebody to change, it always makes a difference, whether it's your significant others or whether it's your boss or whether it's, yourself. So always pat your own back and say, okay, this is what I do well, and this is where I change, SWOT analysis. So you do SWOT analysis, and this is what actually helps in changing anybody's behavior. Always remember the sandwich technique. Do not straight away go to the behavior you want to change. Always say the positive first. Okay, I think thumb rules are here. Listen to understand, not to respond. Don't be defensive. Listen to the person. Respect boundaries, maintain trust. What are boundaries? I will come to that. Boundaries are basically rules in a relationship. So if some people are working, some people may not want to be disturbed during work. So that's a boundary that person has telling the significant others, maybe family members, maybe partners, and it has to be respected. Okay. And it has to be respected both the ways. And if you want to maintain the relationship, that has to be respected and that has to be told very politely. So these could be the boundaries. Somebody asking for money from you all the time, that could be a boundary that, you cannot always supply money, which is not given back to you. So there could be some boundaries, or, abusive words whenever angry. And then I say sorry to you after using abusive words with you. That may not be okay with you, even if I'm a significant other. Maybe I'm your sister or maybe a colleague. But you have to put a boundary, and after that heated exchange is done, you are going to actually tell very politely, always it works when you talk politely, that this is not okay for me to talk to you that rudely. Okay, appreciate other regularly. We do not do this for significant others. When was the last time you actually appreciated your mother? When was the last time you actually appreciated your sister? Just call her up and say, this is what I like about you. She's going to like, my God, what is it? So, there was this experiment I did. I used to call up people and ask, do you love me? And people like, what's wrong with you? Have nothing to do or what? So, they take it aback because they take it for granted that, why would you ask this? But it is an experiment. You can do it and it really gets so many funny answers. I think only one person told me yes. And that person is also a colleague. And then say, that was a hospital colleague who said yes. I said, do you love me? He said, yes. So, whatever love meant to that person. So, and other people gave different responses. Even my son gave me a very horrible response. He said, what is wrong with you? I mean, did you sleep last night or something like that? So, people can't even expect that, you can ask that question, but that shows that they are not used to appreciating or getting appreciated. Discuss expectation, support from others, growth and ambition and well-being. Best relationships are where two people or maybe three people support growth, ambition and well-being. It's not only supporting each other when they're down, but also see what is good about them and speak your mind regarding their growth, their ambition. Be reliable, keep your promises. If I tell you something, please do not go and blurt it out somewhere just to make yourself famous. So that means this relationship is gone. And trust once broken, it's never got back. And quality time is extremely important. Please do spend quality time, particularly again with significant others suffers the most because they are the people you take for granted. My mother will always love me. No, I need to give quality time to her also. She deserves it. So, the closer you are to the person, the more take it for granted that person is. Please do not do that. If you have a high EI, high EQ, please make time for her or him, even if the person is very close to you. So that also includes your pets, if you have a pet dog. Okay, so now this is the last slide, and here comes the question. You are ready for a relationship when you do not need one. What does this mean? See, this has, I'll give you a hint. This is something to do with the relationship with yourself. So, yeah, you want to speak? I'm a participant. Hi, are you enjoying the program?
Yeah, it's beautiful. You are doing amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. At least they allowed you to speak to me. Okay, so
Sorry,
this,
what?
okay. So you want to try? You're ready for the relationship? Yeah, please do.
The only thing that came into my mind is having a strong relationship with yourself. Like
Wonderful.
if you have a strong relationship with yourself, you don't need anyone else. So you have that within yourself. So when something comes towards you, it's just extra, but it is, and it's good, but it won't be won't live with, you know.
Wonderful.
Thank
It's
you.
about yourself. You are not going to use your relationship as a crutch. You're not going to be on the other person, suffocating the other person. You have the self-belief that you're wanted. You're not going to be a needy partner. So the relationships when can survive a lot of issues and stresses when your relationship with yourself is that of confidence, when you know what you want, when you know your worth. So otherwise you will find many relationships where there is so much of trust. These days on social media, we find out where your partner is. Oh my God, why should I even want to do that and still be with him? There's some apps I came across. So as a psychologist, I look at those apps, we put his number and find out where he is, who wants to do that. So these are insecurities which crop up when you do not have faith in yourself. So when you have faith in yourself, when you're not going to go on a rebound relationship, when you do not want a relationship as a crutch or make you forget some heartbreak, that is when you are going to have a beautiful relationship. Thank you very much. I can go on and on on this.
I know that ma'am can go on and on because she's a wonderful counselor and psychologist. Maybe before you leave, just one question has come from one of the students that whether overthinking is something on overthinking. Is it a psychological problem or what is it? Overthinking. Just one question will take.
Okay. So I'll tell you why we overthink and I'll tell you what to do in that. Okay. So I have one of the YouTube channels called Mind Chimes. So there I have dealt with this overthinking. Overthinking are basically the safety valves of our life. For example, when we used to be in the forest and we are crossing the forest path and there's a snake in front. And if you do not think about the snake will come and bite you. Suppose you want to cross the road and there's a bus coming. And if you don't think about, the bus is coming and you're not alert, then what happens? You're going to get hit by the bus. Okay, so overthinking is whenever you see a problem or a threat. But the problem now is we don't hardly cross the road with buses all around or hardly see snakes around. But the brain works the same way. Whenever the brain sees a threat, it could be, the boss said something and said you have to look for a job in next 6 months or a threat like that, or somebody's diagnosed with cancer at home. So you keep on thinking about it till you can solve it. But always remember that when you do overthinking, again, you'll have to change your behavior because overthinking can become obsessive. And we do concentric circle experiment where you write things you can change and things you cannot. If you are spending too much of time on things you cannot change at this moment, you tell yourself, I'm wasting my time. I can come back to it and think about it later. Otherwise, you will not, if there is no immediate solution to that, and you keep on going around and round and round, it is the mind playing game. And remember, all your thoughts are not real. They're stories that the mind tell you. So you have to check that the thoughts that you're thinking, how right they are or how wrong they are, whether they fit into the reality.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Paromita. We have overshot the time, but I'm sure these sessions have been very, very wonderful, very useful. Mental health and emotional well-being, so much part of our life. So also relationships. I'm sure these are issues that we constantly face every day in our life. And if you would like to contact ma'am for counseling or any other help, her phone numbers are there. And thank you once. She's a very, very busy person, and we are grateful that she took a time off. She adjusted her chambers just to be with us. Ma'am, we are very grateful and thank you very much. So we have very interesting module now, the third module. Let me introduce Ms. Devlina Lahiri. She's a consulting psychologist and L&D professional with over 15 years of experience in spanning child and adolescent mental health, POCSO and post specialization and organizational consulting, IPS and CCI member, big terms. And she's a wonderful friend of mine. She's based in Bangalore and she speaks multiple languages. And she's also a psychologist and a counselor. We are very happy that she accepted our invitation to speak to our students. She'll be speaking on empowering your future, motivation, growth, and resilience. Thank you, ma'am Devlina. Over to you.
Thank you, everybody, for having me today. We are going to talk a little bit about motivation and growth and resilience, primarily because if we come from the biological perspective, the only thing different between us and animals is that we have a fully functional, fully developed frontal lobe. What it helps us do is it helps us think into our future. It helps us plan into our future, something that cats, dogs, other living organisms cannot do. So that is something that is our superpower that I believe that we should put into use to make sure that we plan our future in a way that goes in alignment with our vision of what it's supposed to be. There's been a lot of research in the field of how human brains function. And one of those researchers, Carl Rogers, said the only normal way of a human being to function is to grow. That is the only way a human being should function. That is the natural state. The natural state is to grow and to improve. So that is what we are going to look at a little bit today, what and how we can do exactly that, grow and improve that so that our tomorrow is a little better than what our today is. So motivation is an interesting thing, and motivation works in a cycle, really. The only thing that can stop us from becoming better or achieving what we want to is ourselves, right? There is a self-determination theory by Edward Deci and Ryan, and they say that there are three things very important in making sure that we stay motivated. One is our control over our choices. We should feel the autonomy. We should feel like we are in control of our choices. And the second part being competence. We should believe that we are capable of what we are achieving. And the third thing is relatedness. So when I come to relatedness, it is taking a leaf out of Dr. Paromita's book, saying, make sure you surround yourself with people who support you, who help you, and who also have great plans for their future. Because that is one of the greatest way of making sure that you stay motivated. Now, I said motivation works in a cycle, which means that there is going to be a dip. Some way, it is like a curve. It doesn't plateau, it dips after a certain period of time. The only difference between high achievers and regular people like us is that high achievers push through. They do not take failures as failures. They take failure as a feedback, as information that you need to work on and that you need to improve. That is the only difference. So if we can push through that, then we will make it. We will reach where we are supposed to reach. If you give up, then that's it. Then it is you limiting yourself from what you could have achieved and what your true potential is. There are some famous people I really wanted to name here who have faced thousands of struggles and thousands of failures before they became who they became. Amitabh Bachchan was first rejected for his voice, his height, and his lanky stature. Mary Kom, we've all probably watched the film. It is out there. And the film has one of those scenes where Priyanka Chopra gets beaten up left, right, and center. And the only thing she says is that, agar 45 seconds tak hum reh gaye, then, how much are you going to pay me? So it wasn't for her. It wasn't about dropping. It is about not restricting yourself and making sure that you overcome the limitations that you have. You do a little better than you did yesterday. So how do we make sure that we feel in control and that we feel competent? We do not have the imposter syndrome. We do not say, are we good enough? Because that is a lot of the time the self-talk that goes hand in hand, the self-doubt that goes hand in hand with failure. So this imposter syndrome is one of the things that you need to overcome. And how do we do that? Number one is you anchor to data, not to feeling. I might feel I'm not good enough, but I have passed exams. I did not fail. I, among hundreds of other people in my situation, I have overcome and I'm doing better than those people. It is very easy to look up and say, all those people are doing so much better than me. But we have to look a little bit down and see thousands of people not in the position that we are in. So I think a little bit of gratefulness and objectivity goes a long way in making sure that you do not feel incompetent and that you feel like, yes, I'm in control. I tried this and I did this. Track small wins. They don't have to be big wins. Okay, it doesn't have to be a medal, a reward, a trophy of any sort. It just has to be small things that you need to check. So I saw there was a gratefulness journal during the first half of the session. A good idea is to also have an achievement journal where every single day you just write down one thing that you did well the whole day. And those are your small wins. It shows that you can do, you are capable. The only thing that human beings need for achievement is the ability to keep learning. Everything else is secondary. You have to want to keep learning. So you should be driven by the need for improvement, the need for growth, and not by fear. And that is the only thing that will help you achieve what you need to achieve. Finally, the most important thing, I think the third point is the most important thing. The biggest win is to show up when you feel like you don't want to. When you feel like, just another 5 minutes in bed, just another 15 minutes of watching Netflix, and then I will get back to work. If you can cut down, if you can tell yourself, I feel like watching Netflix for 15 minutes, I feel like bunking class today, I feel like staying in bed for another 10 minutes, but I will wake up now, and log that in as one of your biggest achievements. And that's how you reach where you're supposed to, making most of your potential. Practical habits that can take you a long way. One is dealing with procrastination, right? So we call it laziness, we call it procrastination, but the truth is sometimes your nervous system is exhausted. Sometimes you have been on hypervigilance for so long that now you feel tired. So laziness is not, it's a term, it's a taboo term that we use, but it can be growing from a lot of different things. For example, fear. If I do not try, I do not fail. So one of the things is fear. The other thing is tiredness. It's absolute exhaustion because everybody's always fighting their own monsters. We know that. So the 2-minute rule works really well here. If something can be done in 2 minutes, get it done. Do not leave it until later. So this is the 2-minute rule. If you follow it, sometimes you do not think about it. It's like waking up in the morning and taking a shower or brushing your teeth. We don't think about it. So this should be one of your rules that you don't think about. Is it going to take me 2 minutes? I'm going to power through. I'm going to get it done. Do not set big goals for yourself. Okay, so it is not like I have to complete the syllabus for the next exam. If you say that, you are going to automatically go into the so-called lazy mode because your brain is going to be so scared, so afraid that it is going to switch off. So instead of saying, I'm going to have to finish 5 chapters, you tell yourself, I'm going to finish 2 pages or 5 pages, and then we'll plan. Okay, another good idea is, so Stephen Covey has this quadrant method, right, of time management. That is also a good motivating tool. What you do is you write down, you don't have to do the entire quadrant. What you can do is you can simply write down the urgent, important things that needs getting done tomorrow, and the important, not urgent things that need getting done tomorrow, and the urgent but not important things that need getting done tomorrow. If the urgent, not important things can be delegated, the best thing to do is delegate that. The urgent, important things that need to be done, you fix timings, and the important, not urgent things, you fix timing for later for that. If you have fixed timings and you know what to do, we are creatures of habits, right? And if we know what to do, especially for those amongst you who feel really anxious a lot of the time, it is easy for you to manage if you have a plan. We function better with a plan. So if you can create that every night before you go to bed, Next day will not seem so tiring. Next day will not seem so threatening. Finally, we have talked about this, but I'm going to emphasize on this one more time. Daily reflection is very, very important. To give yourself a pat on the back is very important. To tell yourself, this also gives you an objective perception of yourself. What can I do well? What have I done well? What have I actually achieved? So that is all for the motivation part. Hope this helps. These are small habits, but everything depends on practice and regularity. So if you can practice, if you can be regular with these, you will. And give yourselves 3 months. Do not expect this to work like paracetamol. It doesn't happen overnight. There has been a lot of research that has gone into it. So it is 100% foolproof and it works. So try them out before you reject them. And after 3 months, I'm sure you will be a much better version of what you are today. Okay, so this is a very, very important topic, and I would begin with some data. So this is for the age group that you fall in, 18 to 30, and this is in Indian context, right? The study says that alcoholism is, perhaps because of its availability, one of the biggest problems or issues that people between the age of 18 to 30 lean on. Cannabis, we call it marijuana or ganja, opioids and inhalants. We have seen different kinds of usages around the country. If you go to different parts of the country, there are a lot of things, a lot of odd things that we have seen. For example, we have seen people put pain balm, zandu balm between bread and eating it. Okay, we have seen newspaper being put inside the water and soaked for weeks and then using that water. So a lot of different kinds of substance dependency are there, but these four are the most common kinds. Inhalants, there can be many different kinds of inhalants. The common one that you can see, which it's not exactly sold as drugs, is dendrite. People burn dendrite and people smell dendrite, and you have these issues. But where does it occur from? A lot of the time, substance dependency is a person's way of reducing their own anxiety, reducing their own stress, dealing with their own depression, simply because the awareness of it is not there, right? That what is depression? Am I feeling depressed? Am I feeling anxious? Am I feeling stressed? Stress does not express itself in different people in the same way. So different people express stress in different manners, right? So it can be emotional expressions, it can be cognitive expressions, it can be behavioral expressions. If I am, for example, when I'm very, very stressed, I tend to forget things. I tend to lose things. I tend to overthink. Somebody had asked questions about overthinking. If somebody's behavioral, right? So then you would probably go for substance dependency a lot more. Smoking increases, anger behavior increases. You get angry very easily. You tend to scream at people very easily. You tend to pace up and down, or your physical agitation tends to increase. So there are different kinds of symptoms that there are. Sleep gets disturbed, appetite gets disturbed. These are all signs and symptoms of a mood issue. It can be depression, it can be stress, it can be anxiety. What is important to understand is where are the triggers, what are the triggers, and why am I feeling that way? And this awareness goes a long way of in managing or planning how do you address that issue. A lot of people, when you're anxious, when we get clients, they don't really come to us saying we are feeling anxious, right? They've come to us saying we are having gastric issues. Okay, too much of gas problem. I keep taking Diagene and whatnot, and then it is not helping, right? I am having sleep problem. I cannot digest things, right? There can be self-doubting that increases. There can be, I don't feel pretty these days. I feel like suddenly my skin is feeling rough. My hair is feeling rough. Your hair is fine. Your skin is fine. Your perception towards you has changed because the chemical balance in your brain has changed, right? That is either being triggered by depression or anxiety. Other than that, obviously, these factors are also there. One is peer pressure, the pressure to fit in, the pressure to say, to feel like you belong. One of the important things about belongingness that we tend to, around this age, ignore is the fact that we should belong to our own kind. So again, I'll go back to Stephen Covey, but I'll use it in a little differently. He said begin with the end in mind, right? So a good way of making sure that you surround yourself with the right circle of people, that you plan your journey in the right manner, is to have the goal set. Now, this is a very, very difficult thing to do, to know what you really want. So I am not saying that you set a goal for 1 year or for the next 5 years. That is, of course, doable if you have clarity of vision. But if you don't, and sometimes around this age, because everything is changing so fast, it is difficult. But if you have short goals set, for example, in the next 3 months, this is what I want personally and professionally, then it's a lot easier to plan, okay, so what are the next steps that I have to do? What are the professional upskillings that I might have to go for? How am I to plan my time? Because you only have 24 hours in a day at the end of the day. So how do I plan those 24 hours around my goal? And what are the kind of people that I should network with so that it helps me stay strong. It helps me stay safe, most importantly. There is no harm in saying no. Okay, in a different context, of course. A lot of you have watched Pink, the film, and there also the actor say Amitabh Bachchan says no is a no, right? And it was in a different context completely, not substance dependency, but the fact remains, this is a transferable information. A no is a no, and there is nothing wrong in saying no. The only thing that when you say no to somebody, and you say, sorry, that's not my thing. I don't wish to try something like that. The only thing that it shows is you're self-aware and you have the confidence to say no, and there is nothing wrong in that. The second issue that we have not talked about yet is curiosity. Now, a lot of the time, the teenage phase and 18 to 25 is also where you're exploring a lot of different things. I think one of the things that you should think about is there are certain things which are established negative things. Why? Because they have negative effects on your brain and your body, right? And they can be addictive. So do I try it? What am I going to achieve out of trying it? Is it worth it? Those are the questions that you need to ask yourself. The right questions can go a long way in creating a protective boundary around yourself. If it doesn't seem worth taking the risk, then it probably isn't worth taking the risk, right? A lot of the time, it can also be boredom. I don't know what to do, which is why I'll go back to that motivation slides that we did. Planning your day and having small goals will help deal with this lack of routine and the lack of a goal and the boredom. I am bored. A lot of the times, a lot of you might already be smokers, for example, and for you, if you see where is this smoking being triggered, what is this smoking being triggered by, you don't have anything to do. Let's go have a smoke. Oh, are you going for a tea? Okay, let's get my smoke also. So a lot of the time it is association and boredom. I have nothing to do. I just want to be feeling a little good about myself, or I want that dopamine surge. So I'm just going to go have a smoke, or I'm just going to, accompany someone for it. So peer and routine, those are very, very important things. Okay. Now, what is the impact if I don't understand? You can tell me that, so many people are on cannabis, so many people are on marijuana, and it doesn't have a long-term effect. I have even heard people say that it's green, it's organic and it's green. How can it be bad for you? Let me say this, if Ayurveda can have very good effect on your brain and body, then green and organic things can also have a very negative effect on your brain and body. what it can do, these are the only three things in the initial stage. These are the things that you will see being affected: impaired concentration and memory. Now, if you have impaired concentration and memory at the stage where you're trying to build a career, at the stage when you're studying and you're getting your degrees and your certification, then imagine the kind of roadblock and bottleneck it's going to create, right? Reducing motor coordination, it can be a safety risk. Definitely. A lot of people say, oh, we are too cool. We drive better when we are drunk. It doesn't affect us the way it affects other people. And you go into these groups and you go to these parties and people will make fun of you and people will say, oh, you are a lightweight. You can't even drink 2 glasses of whiskey. You are an absolute lightweight. And they'll make fun of you. But that is the most foolish thing I have ever heard in my life, because the only people who tend to throw up or who tend to get sick after 2 glasses of whiskey are the people whose body still has an intact immunity system. So the body is still capable of rejecting what is not good for it. People who are not falling sick, people who are just absorbing it, their livers are gone, finished. Their body's immunity system is finished. So it is not something to be proud of. Destroying yourself bit by bit is not something to be proud of, right? Also, slowly, I have seen this a lot of the time, because it changes the chemical balance of the brain. It changes the person that you are. It creates impulse control issues. It makes it difficult for you to be patient, to be consistent. That leads to a lot of career stagnation. That leads to a lot more failure. And it's like a vicious cycle, right? The more failures you have, the more depressed and anxious you feel, and the more you lean to substance. So at the end of the day, this is a vicious cycle. Once you start, you get into that loop and it becomes difficult to stop. So this is a little bit a small picture of what alcohol and drugs can do to you. See the dopamine transporters. See how much it has increased. So it is a little bit like if you're on the screen for 24 hours and you're addicted to, for example, say video game, and you're watching video game for like 7 hours straight. Video games are forcing your brain to produce more dopamine than it would normally do. So what happens after those 7 hours? You're extremely tired and your brain has lost its ability to create any happy hormones or happy neurotransmitters. So then you've suddenly dipped to a mood which is very angry, very depressed, very sad, and you do not know how to recover from it. Drugs and alcohol, it does the same thing. It forces your brain to produce more than it can, so that by the time you have finished drinking, or by the time you have finished that one what do you call that one roll of marijuana, your brain is completely exhausted. Your brain cannot produce anything anymore. So again, you're feeling depressed, angry, anxious for no reason. And then again, you are moving to substance. Now, sometimes depression and anxiety can be substance induced. It is also true that if you have a mood issue, sometimes we genetically inherit anxiety and depression, and then it is easy for those people to lean on substance as well. In that case, one of the easiest things to do is have coping mechanisms, have resilience that would help you go through those situations of anxiety and depression. Long term, obviously, you can seek professional help. You can rely on your good friends and best friends. So that's what Abdul Kalam said, right? One book is better than 100 friends, but one good friend is equal to a library. So that is a very important thing. That's a social support system is very, very important in our lives. But I'll leave you with some life jackets also, in case you're feeling really anxious. Sometimes we feel anxious and we do not know what to do, and it comes out as anger, or it comes out as a flight or fight symptom, right? So either I freeze or I end up being angry and fighting. It is very important to take a minute then, ground yourself. A simple grounding technique is to just take deep breaths, count 1, focus completely on the number 1. Just tell yourself for the next 5 minutes, I am not going to think, I'm not going to react. Time is yours to take. Again, have control on your actions and have control on what you want to do next. Do not feel forced by the situation to say things immediately, to respond immediately. Take a deep breath, say one, focus on the one, hold your breath for 3 to 4 seconds, release again. Do this 3 times, 10 times. Then ask yourself, okay, self-talk is very important. Self-feedback is very important. Why am I so angry? Is it anger or fear or depression that I'm feeling? Sadness, fear, or anger that I'm feeling? Can I walk away from this and come back stronger? I'm not saying forgive. I'm not saying run away. I'm saying take a minute to decide what you want to do. If you feel frozen, if you're feeling like you're really frozen, then it is a good idea. Then you're having physical symptoms to stress and anxiety. It is a very good idea to make each body part really stiff. Hold it like that for 5 to 6 seconds, then slowly release. Do that 2, 3 times. Start with your leg, face, stomach, hands, each body part. Okay, sometimes some of us feel really hot in the face, our throat becomes dry. These are all physical symptoms. So be aware of where in the body you feel anxiety, where in the body you feel anger. And make sure it's a good idea to start with that part of your body to start this releasing act, this stiffening and then letting go, relaxing the body part. It is basically a way of releasing the pent-up anxiety or anger that your body is holding on to, right? I will also, so 2 life jackets that I gave you. One is the grounding breathing technique. The other is with the self-talk, and the other is physical exercise to release the pent-up anxiety. If you have problems such as panic attack, where you feel like your heart is pounding really hard in your chest and you're feeling like you're going to drop dead right away, it is a good idea to hold your hands like this to your mouth, or if you have a plastic, or if you have a tonga, for example, breathe out. Breathe out as hard as you can inside that, and that would help you release the excess tension and help you calm down a little bit, okay? Things are always worse in our head than it is in reality, okay? Always, and keep saying this to yourselves. The more you say, oh, I did this wrong, I should have done this better, get rid of the should techniques in your self-talk, okay? That is a long-term plan. Get rid of the should techniques. Stop criticizing yourself so much. This is the last slide. These are some power phrases that I'm going to give it to you. When you don't know how to say no, memorize them, use them, and stick to your ground, stick to your no. This is the last bit. This is obviously practical help. If you see somebody is forcing you too much, means that person needs help too. Or if you see somebody suffering, or you feel like you are suffering, or a family friend or a family member, I'm leaving you with some confidential helpline numbers. The important thing is that they're completely confidential and they're free of cost. 24/7, somebody is available at the other end of the line. So you can call them and you can speak to them. That is also going to work as life jacket. For example, if I feel like, reaching out for another glass of wine or another glass of alcohol, before I do that, I can call them and I can tell them, this is how I'm feeling. If I feel like, I'm really upset, really like nothing is working out for me, they will give you some perspective. There are trained people sitting at the end of those helplines, ready to help you, ready to guide you as and when you need it. So if you require it, your friend requires it, or a family member requires it, do not hesitate to reach out. It's 24/7 and it's free of cost. This is something that I want you to hold on to as an anchor, okay? Your future is worth more than impressing a friend that you're going to lose contact with in the next 3 days or 3 months or 3 years. It is a lot more, it means a lot more to take care of your body, to take care of yourself emotionally, physically, than it is to say yes to somebody, to listen to somebody, or for momentary pleasure. Because at the end of the day, the only person who's going to stick around with you is you. The only person you can rely on at the end of the day is you, nobody else. And that's the honest truth. So keep telling yourself. And if you're like, I know you're all on mute, but if you can, just speak out really loud and pledge this to yourselves, that I pledge to stay committed to my goals, to value my health and my career, and to never let one bad decision define my future, because it really can. One bad decision, one car accident, one legal stamp against your name, and that's it. That's all it really takes. We really come to an end of the session. I hope you enjoyed it. I did not make up everything I said. So this is the reference point. There has been a lot of research that went on behind it. If you're welcome to go take a look, just type these links behind and they'll give you all the information that there is. So thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ms. Devlina. I should say 2 beautiful sessions on very, very important topics of motivation, goal setting, and substance use and abuse. I'm sure our students have gained a lot from this, and if they want to reach out to you, your numbers and the contact details are here. I know you are very busy, and I know you are, really took the trouble to be here with us. And on behalf of all of our students and the trainers and trainees and everyone, extremely grateful to you. Since we have overshot the time, I think we shall not take the questions right now. However, they can reach out to you and to PMB ma'am, and then see how they can seek help. So once again, thank you so very much, and we continue here. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, Devlina ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'll take your leave now.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Remove her, no? Okay, so we don't have this break now anymore. We will just continue with this. The last module, just one slide. That we always say that although you are doing skill training, your education must not stop with this, the 3-month skill training. Now, many of you are not attending classes or school or college, etc., and you have come for the skill training. You're getting an opening in education again, be it skill, be it. So my request to you all is, once you finish your training and get placed, do not stop your education. Education must continue. Getting placed is the beginning of a career, not the finish line. So keep asking yourself one question after placement: what is the next skill I need? So all of you should either continue your, while you continue your work in the place where you are placed, you must continue your education. It could be, if you have a class 10 pass or class 10, you have finished class 10, make sure you join NIOS for class 12 and complete your education. Or join something higher, ITI, Polytechnic, any other, or some other skill training. Because if you do not study further, you will remain where you are getting entry, where you're getting placed. Whereas if you continue your studies along with your job, you will grow in your career. So this is an advice for all of you, and I'm sure your trainers and your center in charges will explain to you this further.